doomsday this and doomsday that. Well, they can sit down, little bro, because after all of these years of waiting, the MCU X-Men cast is finally here, and I could not be more excited about them. Even with some of these casting announcements leaked over the last few weeks, it is so surreal to finally see them all on stage together as the MCU is embracing their own X-Men for the first time ever. It's almost been a decade since that Disney-Fox merger went through, which is crazy to think about, but after Fox X-Men send-off, after send-off, after send-off, after upcoming send-off, we're finally getting to get a proper X-Men reboot that hopefully does the team justice in live action. And the best part is that we don't even have to wait too much longer to see it, as this is going to be the first movie after Secret Wars dropping in May of 2028. You know, saying that out loud, it is very upsetting that 2028 isn't too far away. It still feels like 2023 in my head right now. But hey, if it means we're finally going to get a new X-Men adaptation, then I will happily put up with the existential crisis that is time. And I've already wasted enough of yours, so let's just finally talk about the MCU X-Men cast and why it rules. Up first was the public confirmation of Sadie Sink's casting as Jean Grey, which is a spoiler for Spider-Man Brand New Day, but let's be honest, the only people who haven't seen Brand New Day yet either can't be trusted or haven't been born. That movie is making all the money in the world right now. I'm so glad we can openly talk about her playing Jean now too, because she is going to be the easiest part of this cast to talk about. We already know she's going to kill it. I can't say enough good things about her performance in Brand New Day. She stole the entire movie for me. The range of emotions she was able to portray as Jean, going from sinister and calculating to charming and charismatic to tortured and wounded, was an incredible showcase of what she's capable of, and immediately sold me on her casting as Jean. It's not exactly the biggest accomplishment considering everything we've seen in the past and their weird obsession with that goddamn bird storyline, but Sadie's version of Jean in Brand New Day is by far the most I've ever enjoyed that character in live action, and actually felt like we were seeing Jean Grey for once. Just, you know, a little bit more of an evil twist at the start considering what she did to Peter. That thing with MJ on the roof was insane, but I am so excited to see her on this path to redemption now as she heads towards upstate New York and Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. Brand New Day did a phenomenal job laying the groundwork for her character, and I'm so excited to see this movie build off of that. Seeing Professor X take in this kid who was clearly hurt by the world after William Metzger killed her sister, and now funneling that rage into something productive as an X-Man. It makes Destin Daniel Cren's decision to introduce Jean into Brand New Day even better, because now we know going into this movie we have a fully nuanced and fleshed out character that we can get behind and root for. Honestly, I would love if she was even the lead of this X-Men movie as we continue to follow her story and watch her grow into the hero she was always meant to become now that she's got this newfound sense of empathy towards the world. It's why I'm especially excited to see her alongside Cyclops now, as those two characters balance each other out and bring the best out of each other. With where Jean is at right now, she could really use someone to care for her in the way that Scott would. Well, when he's not cheating on her, that is. But he's going to be able to ground her back down to reality and help give her the love she's always deserved, while Jean is able to break through Scott's stoic exterior and see the emotions underneath him as a telepath and be able to help him when he needs it. They are truly a match made in heaven, and I am so excited to finally see them both be done justice. Especially Cyclops, after they've been putting him through this humiliation ritual for the last 20 years. Thank God that James Marsden is getting a, fifth chance to play a proper version of Cyclops in Avengers Doomsday, because they were doing my man dirty in two separate X-Men timelines. The bar is in hell right now for Cyclops in live action, which is why I'm so glad to see that they got Kit Connor to play Scott Summers in the MCU. As much as I was initially pushing for the Cooper Hoffman agenda, I think Kit's casting is just as good, if not better. I immediately saw the vision the moment his name was announced. Take one look at him and tell me that isn't the spitting image of Scott Summers in the comics down to the hair color. I even went a little further to give him some red ruby quartz glasses, and it looks like you shook an X-Men comic and he feels straight out of it. That's literally just Cyclops right there. From his broad shoulders to the square jaw to that insane body, it's like he was chiseled to perfection to be Scott Summers. He was born for this role. I cannot wait to finally see him don that yellow visor, because even in just these edits, that is perfection. Looking the part is only half the job though. You could probably pick any random white guy in America and he'd be a good Cyclops candidate. How is Kit Connor as an actor is the more important question here. Most famously, Kit's big breakout role was in the Netflix original series Heartstopper. But my big confession is, I've never seen a single episode of Heartstopper, so I'm not the best person to talk to about that. If any of you have seen Heartstopper, please let me know down below how Kit was in that show, because I've only heard great things about him playing this golden retriever type character who's very loyal, protective, and popular, which sounds like a great candidate for Cyclops alone if he can just hone in on that stoicism, so I'm definitely gonna go have to tap into Heartstopper after watching this. But I do think it's really cool we have an openly bisexual actor playing Scott Summers, which means the MCU has the opportunity to finally do the correct version of that love triangle. I don't want them to even think about doing that cursed love triangle again that tormented us for 20 goddamn years, unless it's an actual proper triangle and Cyclops and Wolverine have feelings for each other too. This is your ultimatum, Marvel. Either do it right or don't do it at all. Honestly, I can really do without that love triangle with how overplayed Wolverine and Jean is, especially considering any potential age gap they'll have in the MCU. So unless Wolverine and Cyclops are gonna kiss, let's just skip over that, alright? Personally, my first exposure to Kit Connor's work was in the 2024 animated masterpiece, The Wild Robot. Please, I am begging you, if you take anything away from this video, go watch The Wild Robot as soon as humanly possible. It's one of my favorite animated movies. No, it's one of my favorite movies ever. I cried like a baby watching the entire thing, and a large reason it's that is because of Kit Connor's vocal performance alone. He played that adorable little orphan duckling with so much resilience. It was perfect and showed me what a talented actor he is. I have full faith he'll be able to do Cyclops justice. I really love the fact, too, that they got such a young actor to play Cyclops, considering that he's only 22 years old right now. Deeply upsetting whenever somebody younger than me is more talented and successful, but this is the exact kind of person you want to be leading a franchise for the next 20 years. What's so cool about Cyclops is that he might be the best example of serialized change throughout comics, as pretty much every decade he's gone through a completely different character shift that feels so natural as he continues to evolve and grow as this fully three-dimensional character. Starting out as this young, brash student and growing into his role as team leader and then soon revolutionary. That is the kind of character arc I want to see done over the next however many sagas we are blessed with as the X-Men take over the MCU and we get to see Cyclops play a focal role in this universe. A 22-year-old talented actor who looks the part is the exact kind of person you want in that position, and I cannot wait to see his career flourish from here on out. Unfortunately for him though, we're gonna have to kill him because his greed sickens me. Both Sadie Sink and Samara Weaving, who does this guy think he is? He's gotta go. I will fight him in the parking lot for this role. I've never been more jealous in my life. That is to say that Samara Weaving has officially been confirmed as Emma Frost in the MCU, and this is my favorite casting of the bunch. She is an actor that I am extremely familiar with as I've followed most of her work over the last few years. Everything from Guns Akimbo to Babylon to Bill and Ted Face the Music to her brief cameo in Scream before that franchise fell off. She is an absolute delight and highlight of every single project she's a part of. But the two main film series where she really made a name for herself was in The Babysitter and Ready or Not, where she proved that she has what it takes to be a leading star. Now, on the surface, looking at those roles and other movies she's done, she thrives in these campy horror stories as a true scream queen. So, performance-wise, that might seem a little out of pocket for Emma Frost, but I promise you it is exactly what we need as she is not afraid to embrace the camp of it all. Emma is as in-your-face and over-the-top as they come, so to get an actress like Samara who isn't afraid to go to those places with big, charismatic performances is exactly what you want. Plus, I mean, just look at her range. What she's doing in Ready or Not is completely different from what she's doing in Babylon, which is completely different from what she did in Bill and Ted. Her versatility is astonishing. This is somebody who could easily pull off that sense of superiority and annoyance she gets when manipulating other people as if it's nothing, all while being immensely charming and endearing that you can't help but just fall in love with her. And, I mean, come on, if we're talking about falling in love, just take one look at her, man. I hate to be so upfront and forward about this, but she's hot. For a character who very famously starts out as this femme fatale seductress, it's important you get someone who's hot to portray that, and Samara Weaving, I mean, come on, man, the pictures speak for themselves. Just looking at them side by side, it is abundantly clear this is going to be one of the best casting choices in MCU history, as she is literally just Emma Frost in the flesh. She's even living the part at D23. Take one look at that outfit and all the accessories and tell me that she didn't understand the assignment better than anyone. The costume design team better be taking notes and planning out the most extravagant wardrobes possible for her, because I can't have her in anything boring. I need every single outfit tailor-made and one of a kind for her as she goes all out with this flamboyant sense of fashion. What's most interesting about Emma's casting in this movie, though, is the fact that she's here at all. When the MCU first announced they were finally going to be doing an X-Men movie, I thought they were going to be starting with that initial first class. So to see Emma Frost here, it starts to give us a little window into what the story might be, whether it be Hellfire Club, or maybe some stuff with the Hellions, or her time as a headmistress at the school. With all of the decades of X-Men history that has hardly been touched because they were obsessed with that goddamn bird story, Emma Frost's inclusion helps narrow down that scope to understand what they might be doing, and I think that is really exciting to think about. The mere fact that they went with an actress who is distinctly older than the rest of the cast, as Samara is 34, tells me a few things. One, we're probably not going to get the Scott and Emma romance or any Scott cheating on Jean with Emma, which I'm completely fine with. We just got to focus on getting Scott and Jean done correctly. But two, with her being 10 years older than the rest, we're going to be seeing an Emma who is fully established in this universe, and she's not going to be a student with the rest of the team, which would be so stupid, by the way. I don't understand why X-Men Origins Wolverine tried to make that happen, but I don't understand a lot of decisions in that movie, and I don't think I ever will. My hope here is that they start Em out firmly as a villain or maybe an anti-hero working with the Hellfire Club, as the X-Men need her help with something. That way, over this saga and the next, we can slowly and naturally transition her from an antagonist to someone that would be more of an ally of the X-Men, and then finally becoming an X-Men in her own right. After how nothing Emma has been in pretty much every X-Men adaptation, I am just praying they do her right and don't fumble this excellent casting. Then up next is perhaps the most important one to me personally, as Inde Navarrette was cast as Rogue, my favorite member of the X-Men. This is the one I was by far the most shocked about because there have been so many different rumors over the last few months about who's going to play Rogue, and her name didn't pop up once. In fact, she was campaigning to play Mystique in the movie, which now looking back was very funny, but I do admire the fact that she chose a Rogue adjacent character. That tells me she knows ball. Now, I have to admit to you, when I first saw that Inde was cast as Rogue, I was a little disappointed because I had been pulling for Kaylee Spaney to get the role so hard, and while I do wish that still came true, I'm not mad whatsoever about Inde playing Rogue, and the more I've thought about it, the more I love it. In fact, the only thing I'm mad about is that Scoopers lied to us for so long about Kaylee being in talks to join the movie, so they are all getting hogtied to the train tracks tonight. I really hope that the MCU can find a place for her one day, but for now, I'm just gonna enjoy the fact that Inde Navarrette, one of the fastest rising stars in Hollywood, is playing my favorite member of the X-Men. No matter what way you look at it, this is a monumental win, getting somebody so talented to play her, especially hot off the wheels of Obsession, the biggest surprise of the year, and maybe the biggest surprise horror movie in my lifetime at least. I could talk for hours upon hours about how much I loved every little detail of Obsession, and how I walked out of that theater literally shaking because of how scared I was. But this is a superhero movie channel, and they're gonna shoot me if I talk about anything not related to that, so I'm just gonna say that Inde made that movie for me, and gave my favorite horror performance of all time. The way she was able to snap back and forth between quirky and likable to upsetting and haunting on a dime using her physicality alone was incredibly impressive and blew me away. Plus, a big part of Nikki and the Wish and Obsession is that she was playing a character who was trapped inside of another character, which is kind of Rogue's whole thing when she absorbs somebody else's consciousness, so to know we have an actor that can already play that is huge. Getting anybody with that kind of talent and range is always going to be the best possible choice you can make. Also, I am genuinely just so happy for her to get this kind of opportunity. After Obsession, she's been very vocal about the fact that she was out here live streaming and walking dogs just to try and make enough money to pay the bills, so I'm very glad that she's getting that Marvel bag. It also helps that she's not new to the genre either, as her first big role in Superman and Lois as Sarah Cortez, which is where I first found her a few years ago when I binged that show in like a month. Honestly, that might still be my favorite Superman adaptation, and she plays a sizable role in making that show so good. As a supporting character I enjoyed seeing so much, I didn't even mind we weren't getting Superman in the Superman show. When you think about it, on the surface, the character of Sarah might not seem the most obvious to compare to Rogue, but looking deeper, she might emotionally be the perfect blueprint. This is somebody who had this down-to-earth girl-next-door vibe, as she was extremely caring, friendly, and charming, but she struggled with an unstable home life. That led to her being tortured by her own thoughts with so much self-hatred and depression, making bad decisions and then having to pay for them because of it. If all of that doesn't sound like Rogue, then I don't know what does. I swear, the second we all hear her say sugar, every single complaint is going to melt away as she proves once again she is a chameleon in every role she plays. Both of Inde's two biggest roles show us that she's able to tap into the emotions necessary to play Rogue and make her a complex character, so I am very happy with this casting decision. You could even say that I'm obsessed with it, huh? You know, yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I asked for that. Okay, that's a little too long. You can stop now. The only thing I ask is that in this movie, Rogue doesn't start out as a student at the school. The journey of her character beginning as a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is such a fundamental part of her history that adaptations skip out on way too much. Please, Marvel, start her out as an antagonist in this film, working alongside Mystique, and then by the end of the movie, have her join the team then. Let us build out Rogue's history as she struggles with all the guilt of falling in with the wrong crowd and only sees the light once the X-Men help her. It makes her an infinitely more interesting character that I fell in love with in the first place and proves that there is merit to Charles' dream as he helps other mutants find their way. Oh, also, you might have noticed that there's no Gambit on this stage with the rest of them, and that was actually because I was secretly cast as Gambit, so I gotta take on that heavy burden of playing the Ragin' Cajun and dating Rogue. I'm sorry to spoil that for you guys, I know it's gonna be some big reveal, but the cat's out of the bag now. See, look at how well I can shuffle these cards and do a Gambit impression. The name's Remy LeBeau, but you can call me the Gambit. Yeah, I gotta drop out of this role. I can't do this. Someone who I really don't want to drop out of this movie, though, is Adam Driver, who's going to be playing Nathaniel Milbury, aka Mister Sinister. First off, thank God he's not Magneto. When those rumors first dropped last month that he was going to be playing Magneto, my heart sunk, because after 2 previous adaptations where he wasn't, we really need to see Magneto played by a Jewish actor as the most prominent Jewish Marvel character ever. Plus, I don't think Magneto should be in this movie. He has been so prominent in pretty much every single X-Men adaptation for good reason, but especially live action when he was basically the co-lead of every single one of those movies. I love Magneto. He's one of the all-time great characters for a reason. But if we keep doing Magneto over and over again, we're never going to get to see other X-Men villains like the Friends of Humanity, Arcade, Mojo, Nimrod, Shadow King, and of course, Mister Sinister. I cannot tell you enough how happy it makes me that we are finally, after all these years, going to see Mister Sinister as the villain of an X-Men movie. I cannot believe it has taken us this long to get here, finally exploring such a wide corner of the X-Men universe after the Fox movies kept edging us with Mister Sinister teases in every new film, only to never deliver on that. Kicking both the Mutant Saga and MCU X-Men history off with Mister Sinister just felt like a no-brainer to give us something we've never seen before on the big screen. And the fact that he's going to be played by an actor of Adam Driver's stature is insane to me. After Star Wars burned him not once, but twice, I thought we were never going to see him in a big-budget franchise again, but here we are. After the MCU has called him time and time again, he's going to be playing the villain of an X-Men movie. I used to pray for times like this, man. What a monumental win getting an actor who knows how to be racist on screen. I sounded way too excited about that, didn't I? Okay, what I'm trying to say is that when you're a good person, it takes a talented actor to pull that stuff off believably. And for a bigot like Mister Sinister, it's good we have someone that can pull that off. One thing about Adam Driver is that even if the movies he star in aren't the best, he always picks roles that will be the most interesting to play and that he can bring something new to. Mister Sinister is the exact kind of weird, out there performance that would attract him and let him go all out chewing the scenery. He might be a serious actor, but he isn't afraid to not take himself seriously, and that is the mentality you want to approach Mister Sinister with. Just look at how big he goes when he stars in something like SNL and really lets his comedy chops fly. He is absolutely going to kill it and give us the over-the-top campy Mister Sinister we deserve as he effortlessly walks the line between charismatic and terrifying. What I find most interesting about his casting announcement, though, is the fact that they didn't call him Mister Sinister and exclusively referred to him as Nathaniel Milbury. That makes me wonder if they're trying to keep the fact that he's Mister Sinister a secret, which, if they're doing so, is already a worse-kept secret than Jean Grey over there. But I think the intention behind that was to give us a clue on what the story they're adapting is. In the comics, Sinister used the alias of Nathaniel Milbury when he ran the orphanage that Scott Summers grew up in. I really love the idea of starting out both Scott and Mister Sinister this way, as he has this personal connection to the villain right off the bat, as he basically tortured him and experimented on him for years. Considering just how obsessive Mister Sinister gets with the Summers family as a whole, linking them together from the start is a great idea to really build out that hatred and make him feel like a personal villain to the X-Men. Hopefully, in that sense, this movie can act as an origin story for Mister Sinister as well, as he's able to stick around for the long run in the MCU. Mister Sinister is the kind of villain I want to see the X-Men brush up against multiple times over their storied careers, and this movie feels like a great launching point for him. There is the chance that maybe an actor like Adam Driver wouldn't want to be locked into this role, but if he was willing to make a movie like The Rise of Skywalker, then he better get his ass in that big cape as soon as possible. Then, maybe the most exciting announcement of them all is that Maya Boyd is going to be playing Storm. I was genuinely concerned that we wouldn't get Storm in this movie, considering that she's not a traditional member of that first class, and it took 12 years of X-Men storytelling for her to appear, but I am so glad they made sure that a character as important as Storm would be here from the beginning. I know we talk a lot about how the X-Men movies fumbled Cyclops, but the same can be said for a character like Storm, who never got the treatment she deserved whatsoever. Sure, casting the Halle Berry was a big deal at the time, but after that first movie, they never really did anything with her because Bryan Singer is a terrorist, and then the rebooted timeline dropped the ball right out of the gate. So I need them to lock in with Storm here and make her feel like the big deal she's supposed to be again. If she is portrayed as anything other than the Omega level goddess that she is, we're going to have some problems. As for the actress they chose to play Storm, Maya Boyd, I can't exactly say much about her because she's an unknown actress, but I love that. It is always so cool to see relatively unknown actors get cast in huge roles like this because the MCU was built on unknown actors. They found and plucked all of this talent from obscurity and made them household names, so it rocks that they're returning to that with a character like Storm. They're not going to get some big name who's known for other roles that makes it hard to see them as Storm. No, this is an actor who, from the moment they put on that tiara, is going to be Storm. And when you cast an unknown actor, it means they were cast for pure talent alone, not name value, so I am extremely excited to see how she does as Storm. From the research I've done about her, she has a great voice and seems very charming, so that is a great sign, along with the fact that she comes with a background in theater. To me, some of our best actors come from the stage, because when you're doing something like that live in front of other people, you have to nail every aspect of your performance. There's no do-overs or second takes. You have to be in the moment and perfectly embody that character. So to see her bring that kind of disciplined skill set to the X-Men is something I'm really looking forward to. Also, I really have to give them props for casting a dark-skinned actress to play Storm. Colorism is such a big problem in the superhero space, and the two previous Storm actors were both light-skinned, so to see Marvel get this casting right and give us a dark-skinned Storm gives me faith they know what they're doing with the character. And finally, rounding out this cast is Christopher Abbott as Professor Charles Xavier. Now, this might be a hot take, but out of the entirety of the people we know are going to be in this movie, I actually think that Professor X is the hardest to cast. Not only do you need a talented actor who can portray both the comforting father figure, taking these kids under his wing and using them to help make the world a better place, but he has to look good bald as well, and not everybody can pull that off. Also, he's got to have an edge to him. Somebody who makes selfish decisions in the name of the greater good and has a little bit of an ego to him. What makes Charles Xavier so interesting is that despite his good intentions, he's not a perfect man, but he puts on this face to the general public as if he is one. That is a very tough thing to pull off, as it calls for a really nuanced performance to make sure those both halves of his personality fuse and feel natural. We have been extremely lucky in the past to have two actors portray Charles Xavier flawlessly. Sir Patrick Stewart portrayed the more noble aspects of the Professor and made him feel like a larger-than-life figure who still had their secrets, and he'd love to die. I really can't stress enough just how often this man died. In the time since I started saying that last sentence, he's already died again. Then, more recently, we had James McAvoy taking over as Professor X in the reboot timeline, where they really honed in on the flaws and headstrong ego after they gave him an origin for being bald. So with all of that preface out of the way, is Christopher Abbott good Charles Xavier casting? I'm honestly not too sure. Listen, I try and be as prepared as possible as I can when making these videos, but I just have not seen nearly enough of Christopher Abbott's work. Taking a look at his IMDb right now, the only thing I've actually seen him in is... oh god, it's Kraven the Hunter, isn't it? That sucks. I didn't even know he was in that movie till looking it up right now. And why would I? They just called him the Foreigner, so that's not exactly something I can judge his performance on. Oh wait, no, hold on, never mind. He played Alfie Blessington in Poor Things. I've seen that. I have seen one thing he starred in, and he did good in it. So you know what? Yeah, I think Charles Xavier is in good hands with someone like Christopher Abbott. In a movie like Poor Things, he portrays an unhinged military man. If you just tone that down a bit and add some more humanity to him, that's basically Charles Xavier, considering that he runs a paramilitary strike force made of children. That alone gives me enough faith that he's going to be able to portray the more complex aspects of Charles Xavier and bring him to life. That being said, I don't think I can make my final judgment until we've seen him bald. I cannot stress enough that the smoothness of his head and how shiny it is going to decide this entire thing for me. Yeah, sure, whatever, man. You're a talented actor making millions of dollars starring in X-Men movies. I don't care. How round is your head? I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt considering how good he was in Poor Things, but I expect to see his head shaved and waxed by Monday. But here's the thing. For as great as this X-Men cast is, people are clearly missing, so I want to break down who I think should and shouldn't be on the team in this movie. Right off the bat, we gotta address the fact that the biggest and most important X-Men wasn't listed. I'm of course talking about Glob Herman. What are we doing here, guys? You want to make $1 billion movie or not? You don't put Glob Herman in the movie, it's going to bomb, I promise you this. Oh yeah, Wolverine also. They didn't mention Wolverine. He's kind of important too. It might be a shocker to some people that Wolverine wasn't announced for the X-Men movie, but I say good. After all of those Fox movies effectively became Wolverine and the X-Men, I don't want him to even sniff this cast list. His greedy ass can stay in Canada and have a solo project first, then we'll bring him in the sequel. It's time to let some other characters shine, and while X-Men 97 proved that Wolverine can work as part of an ensemble, when you're introducing the character for the first time, I think it's more effective to do it in a solo project. Whether it be him fighting the Hulk in a special presentation or doing stuff with Alpha Flight, just keep Wolverine on his own for once, and also let him be played by Matt Wood. If Hugh Jackman actually does this until he's 90, I'm gonna kick his geriatric ass. Somebody who absolutely should be here, though, is my boy Bobby Drake, Iceman. Ever since I first laid my eyes on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Iceman has been one of my favorite X-Men characters, and he's never been done justice. The closest we've ever gotten to him being done right was in X-Men 3, and they do nothing right in that movie, so that says a lot. As an OG member of the X-Men and an Omega-level mutant, Iceman belongs on this team and would be a great point of view character to have as the youngest member. Please, Marvel, guys, if you can hear me, just give me Iceman. I want to see him in his full ice form, doing cool stuff with his ice powers, and not just restrained to black leather. This would heal my inner child. Another character who I absolutely believe needs to be on this team is, believe it or not, Angel. As another OG member of the X-Men, Angel has never been done right ever, really. He's just kind of always been there in the background as the guy with the wings. And I feel like if we don't do him now and establish him as a core member of the team's history, it's never going to hit quite the same. So I am begging you to raise Angel's stocks for the first time ever and make him feel important in an X-Men movie. Honestly, if I said make him feel important in general, that would feel accurate. The only thing people know about Angel is that he becomes Archangel, and that needs to change. I'm also guilty of that because I can't tell you anything about him besides the fact that his name is Warren Kenneth Worthington III, but that's all I got, so it's up to Marvel to fix that. Also, last member of the team we need to see is Beast, because I truly believe they need to do the core 5 X-Men to start the universe off. You don't even have to go all out and give us the blue CGI Beast that we're going to see in movies like Doomsday. You could just give us the humanoid Beast with the weird hand feet at the start, and that's completely okay. He doesn't even have to be a member of the team. I will happily take him being a teacher at the school and somebody who works in the back end of things. I just want Beast to be here to round out that OG 5 I am desperate to see in live action. Even the X-Men movie called First Class didn't do the First Class. This is your one opportunity to do it right, guys. Looking at the lineup right now, out of every single Marvel movie that's been announced, X-Men is by far the one I am most excited for, even more than Doomsday and Secret Wars. This is a team that the Marvel Universe practically revolved around for decades. There is so much rich history to explore there that those Fox movies barely touched on because they were too obsessed with the goddamn bird story. So now, after all these years, to see we have a brand new X-Men cast with Mister Sinister as the villain, it's giving me pretty much everything I wanted and then some. Especially when you take into account the fact that Jake Schreier, director of Thunderbolts, is helming this movie. After his masterful work there, he is the perfect director to take care of the X-Men and make sure they are done right in an inspired story that feels more human than ever. He's already proven once that he can direct a team of depressed heroes, might as well give him another one, especially with how good he is at writing ensemble pieces to make everybody feel important. Well, unless you're Taskmaster. So with all of these creatives involved and handling the X-Men, their future has never been brighter. Until they found out that Spider-Man made an inhibitor chip that's going to enslave the mutant race. But hey, now that we got an X-Men cast, I'm gonna need them to go jump Peter Parker's ass. I can see it written in the stars now. The X-Men versus Spider-Man, but it's just 2 uncut hours of the X-Men jumping Peter's ass in the parking lot. You can't tell me that wouldn't make billions with how much Spider-Man fans want to see him suffer. But until we get that, why don't you just let me know down below what you think about the MCU X-Men cast? I would genuinely love to hear what everyone has to say and continue the conversation down below. And while you're at it, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you don't do it, I'm gonna telepathically force you to do it anyway, so you might as well do it. I'm basically Charles Xavier. Except I have hair and I'm not a dick.